defense and border regime. The state of Palestine shall be fully demilitarized and remain as so. The state of Israel will be responsible for security at all international crossing into the state of Palestine. The state of Israel will continue to maintain control over the airspace and the electromagnetic spectrum, and the Israeli Navy will have the right to block prohibited weapons and weapon making materials from the entering the state of Palestine. The state of Palestine will not have the right to forge intelligence or security agreement with any state or organization that adversely affect the state of Israel's security as determined by the state of Israel. Status of Jerusalem and Palestinian capital and holy states. The plan affirmed Israel has a right to the entirety of the undivided Jerusalem, recognizing it as Israeli capital. The plan does not accept a Palestinian capital for a future state of Palestine to be located outside and east and north of the West Bank barrier in that part of the East Jerusalem encompassing Kafir Aqab and the eastern refugee camp of the Shufat and Abu Des Martin. Adik described the Palestinian portion as only a sliver of the East Jerusalem. It would be a bare whatever name Palestinians decide to call it, perhaps Al-Quddus, according to the Tabusans designated such a site. A Jerusalem involves a semantic game, a fragmented entirety across several neighborhoods that are miles apart from each other, separated by Israeli communities and major roads, and they share little in the common. Abu Dis is variously described as a discrete, lawless enclaves, a gang-ridden slums, or a grip neighborhood with a single main street and the highly Piccadilly and the allies shooting of arts strange angels appearing a hulking concrete separation barrier on the other side of which lies Jerusalem and its distant holy cities. The plan puts the Haram al-Sharif temple mounts, including Al-Aqsa Mosque, under Israeli sovereignty, while in one part it states that the status quo there will be maintained. Elsewhere, it appears to envisage major changes to the status quo by permitting non-Muslim Jews and the Christians to pray there. They would break with the status quo, one which Benjamin Netanyahu reaffirmed in 2015. The plan rejects Palestinian claims to Haram al-Sharif, instead keeping it under Jordan custodianship. The plans gives Israel the task of the safeguarding the holy cities and guarding the freedom of worship. In February 2020, it was announced that the land Trump's plans slats to in Atrod for a special world-class tourist zone in the future Palestinian state for Muslim tourists into Jerusalem would be earmarked for a new Israeli settlement spanning 310 acres. All the remaining land between the West Bank barrier and Atrod industrial zone with the projected 600 to 9,000 housing units. Private individual owning parts of the areas are predominantly Palestinian, but the plan seemingly foresees relocated areas without seeking the owners' consent. It would be first Jewish settlement in East Jerusalem since 1991 when Har Hama was established. Status of refugee. Under the Trump plan, there would be no right of return for Palestinian refugees from the wars of 1948 and 1967 into Israel. The return of any Palestinian refugee would be subjected to the Israel's giving its approval, where the deal signed. The assistance of the UNRWA to the Palestinian population would be terminated. In the 2 decades that follows, Israel founding some 800,000 Jewish left the Arab world, 300,000 in the very first few years, many as the result of the hostilities and the persecution. The majority of these immigrants to Israel. Some view the Jewish exodus from Arab and Muslim countries as analogous to the 1948 Palestinian exodus, emphasizing push factors like discrimination and violence, while others emphasize pull factors and consider them welcoming immigrants.